What's up, everyone? This is the Fraser Laveay podcast. We have a very delayed week 2 bets podcast. As you know, week 2's already happened, aside from Monday night. And it's still a fun podcast to listen to. Recap some incredible picks and prop picks that we absolutely nailed. So you need to listen to this podcast or go to faneverland.com every week. But yeah, had some internet upload issues, so this was supposed to go out Friday, and now it is Monday, and it still wouldn't upload, and we're going to try it again. Apologize a ton. With one of my best friends, Kevin Backer, and oldest friends, we're going to dive into week 2 picks, which again already happened, but you can listen along and see where our heads were at, why we did so good. I always like to re-listen to past podcasts on sports and see how badly people screwed up or if they did okay. So a little win for us. We'll have a part 2 as well, because I had to split this into 2 parts due to the length and just the upload issues. Sorry about that. Hope you enjoy. Kev also comes to us with the best background. Oh, Jared had a good background one time, but I think you're overall taking the best background, like a real podcaster. Legit. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, Kev.
Yeah, thanks. Hard work.
What is that belt?
So the belts, that's my prized possession.
That's from Williams Lake, right?
No.
Oh, I thought that was when you were Mr. Williams Lake. I thought that was the belt.
That's Mr. Q 2002.
Okay. Quinnell.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot how I messed up those giant, amazing commerces of Quinnell and Williams Lake.
Yeah. No one wears coveralls like I do. And no, it's from my perfect season that I had a couple years back during COVID. In fantasy, I ran the table. Yeah, went 13-0 and
Look at you.
won everything. So
who was
with
like
all
your
my bought a belt.
Sick?
Yeah.
Who was your main guy?
Oh yeah.
Who was your main person that you had? Yeah.
I had them all. I had Henry, I had Cooper Kupp, I had Jonathan Taylor, I had Hurts and Lamar Jackson. I think I was the only one in the draft because
I was going to say, yeah. What kind of is this a 3-team league and you're just buying yourself a belt? You're playing your kids?
No, we've been together for I swear to God, 15 years. I've never won ever.
Oh.
And then this is the time I ever won, and I was like, I'm the Dolphins now. This is what's happening.
I like it. Nice.
Yeah, and I let them all know it.
So
that's Mr. Perfect, obviously. If people don't know who Mr. Perfect is, that's me.
Oh. So from my little vantage point, I thought it was Hulk Hogan, but the Mr. Perfect makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyone just listening at home, Kev has a full Broncos background and a heavyweight belt in the background. So that's what we were talking about, if you're not seeing. But
I am a Broncos fan, but I know they're not perfect. So let's just let that out there.
I'm glad you prefaced that. You're not like my friend. He's a Dolphins fan, and he thinks that they're amazing, which obviously now
he's still stuck in the 70s. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like me and you, we're smart fans. I'm a Vikings fan. I know we're trash, and we're always going to be mediocre until maybe JJ McCarthy comes around, but we'll see.
If he gets another knee, then you can go from there. But
exactly.
We just throw 42 times for a rookie quarterback, first ever start, and think you're going to win a game. That's not going to happen. So
I've always been out. Sorry, maybe I'm not out on Sean Payton, but I didn't like how they were saying he was the greatest coach of all time. They were trading picks for him. That was the talk before whoever he signed with. It was oh my God, whoever gets Sean Payton is going to have to give the Saints 2 first-round picks. I'm like, what? He's good. Don't get me wrong, but let's not pretend
he's got a bowl under his belt, but he's not.
Yeah.
Any guru or anything. They turned down Mike McDaniels. That kid, he's a kid to me, I guess. But he's unbelievable. But play caller, Shanahan. We had Shanahan in the building and they let him go. And you're like, why? Why would you do that? The legacy of the Shanahans. It just you don't just let people like that walk away. Yeah. But I don't know. Peyton.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I think he's okay. I just didn't like that they were trying to trade picks and oh my God, he's the best coach out there right now and this and that. And I'm like, what? What am I missing?
I think it's because he generally gets the best out of players, even they could be mediocre, but he can make them better. But play calling wise, I don't think he's not even doing the play calling. I don't think. Or is he?
And
Lombardi was, but
and I mean, he had Drew Brees when he was good, and when he didn't have Drew Brees, he wasn't good. So,
well, kind of like, that's a double-edged sword. Like Brees gets released from Miami there, that didn't fall through, and then he went to there. They kind of blossomed together. So it was just a match made, right? But
yeah, they're like the poor man's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
The
very poor man's.
Exactly. They got the passing records for a while, but
yeah.
Hopefully the Knicks can do the same thing.
No doubt. Well, yeah, let's get into. So we're gonna recap week 1, the bets, the picks I had, Kev's thoughts of the week 1, and then we're going into bets against the spread for week 2. Some good bets to take, as well as maybe we'll get to QB power rankings if we have enough time. Maybe Bed Bath and Beyond. I keep on saying the word epiphany on the podcast, Kev, but another epiphany I had was I nailed, and you know this is me thinking I'm always right and being stubborn, but I nailed all my losses in week 1. Like I went 500, my locks went 500, but I should have gone 80% win rate. Yeah. And so I feel like I was thinking about it. I'm almost like a basketball player. Like if you were the coach and I'm double teamed and there's like a shooter that's not as good as me, anywhere near as good as me, but I'm double teamed. I'm like, shoot, I pass it to him. He missed the shot, but it was the right decision. Sure, we didn't win the game, but I'd rather lose with the right decision than like making, the bullshit. So my losses were great decisions is kind of what I'm getting at.
However you sell it to yourself to keep you going, I totally
exactly.
I'm with you. I think we saw it the same way. I think we made some great decisions.
Exactly.
I was just over 500 as well, and you're like, how did this happen? But it was just so it was just bad play all around, like all over the league. Like I heard you guys talk about it. Like the QB ratings were like an all-time low. It's because we don't have the Peyton Mannings, we don't have the Drew Brees, we don't have, well, they have Kirk Cousins, but I mean, I know you're down on that guy, but
yeah, sure am.
But like the play and just losing, it's amazing losing one preseason game, what it can do leading into the season. But this is like the Patriot way. Like first 4 weeks mean nothing.
Yeah.
Like just like statistically, if you're 2-2, you're still going to have a good chance to make playoffs. So what are these 4 games really? It's a feeling out process.
Yeah.
Guys are going to get hurt with soft tissue stuff. They're going to be back by week 7, week 8, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. So, no, absolutely.
And it makes it hard for us because we're picking these games and it's a crapshoot. So
yeah. The week 1 is always the worst because you don't know. Like for instance, one of my losses was the Bengals -8.5. And if Joe Burrow's healthy, which we have no idea if he was or not, they win by. Well, the Patriots did look good, but they should have won. But then you see Burrow, and he's holding his hand. He can't throw the ball downfield. Had I known that, I wouldn't have taken the Bengals -8.5.
Well, 8.5 I thought was a stretch.
True.
You got Higgins that just coming like he's getting franchised, and then you got Chase not practicing at all. And like Boyd's gone. Like where's all his reliability? Like his go-to guys are basically they're not getting paid. So he's saving his wrist for people who get paid. So I'm pretty sure like he's just not gonna try. So I don't know.
That's fair.
I thought I was with Uncle Blaze on that one. I didn't think they were gonna win. I thought they were gonna cover.
At least cover. That's fair.
At least cover. Like take the points. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
Week 1.
I was thinking Joe Burrow, hey, my wrist is fine. I'm going to show you guys we're back to be kings and we're going to kick the shit out of the Patriots. And like, here we go.
Fan. Yeah, 100%. I'm a Burrow fan big time. Like that guy can ball. He can he's stone cold. And did I tell you, I don't think I ever told you this bet. My brother-in-law and I, for whoever wins Super Bowl first has to get a tattoo of Pence logo, and he's a Bengals fan, and I'm Broncos fan. So we made this bet when, it is intense. So we made this bet when Cincinnati was in the conference finals, and I was like, they're not winning that game. Yeah. And then ever since then, I've just been letting them have it because I'm like, the Bengals will never win. They will never win because they don't like to pay people, and when they do, they overpay, and then the team goes to shit. So, and the Broncos win once every couple of decades. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's like a better franchise. I guess I would place my bets on the Broncos as like a better franchise overall than the Bengals.
Tough to say because now we have a new ownership group who seems to spend money. I mean, they spend $700,000 for a new turf mid-season.
Yeah,
I don't see the Bengals doing that. Like, no, I don't even see them trying to get a new arena. So, why would they pay a guy like Chase, who's a franchise player?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and they let Mixon walk and a lot of their defensive players,
like all their defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a year-to-year game, right? And so I don't know. Poor Burrow, though. I mean, I just feel like you're just wasting him away because now, like the big outcry was like his offensive line, right? Like when he got hurt in his rookie year, and then they beefed that up, and then now, okay, you gotta pay people like in order to really produce. Unless you got like Mahomes who takes pay cuts, but
I don't know. We love him for.
Which we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say too. I just don't think Burrow is gonna. One of my bold predictions for this year is Joe Burrow ends the season on IR. I don't think his wrist is gonna be okay. He also fractured that wrist in like 2017. I just don't see it. We'll see.
Same wrist?
Same wrist. So he's always had something going on with that wrist. Completely different injury this go around, but I mean, I'm sure. Like I've had 3 knee surgeries and a hip surgery on the right side. I'm sure he's just as connected as we all are, on one side of his body. So you would hope. So, I mean, I could see him being done.
Every time he gets hit, what's going to happen? He's going to have to brace himself, and that's not good.
Yeah. Some other L's I had in the week. I took Baltimore 3.5, and I was saying it was a revenge game. Half an inch. Not only I win straight up, but cover. So I could cover. I lost the Packers game. That wasn't a lock of the week, but I said stay away from that game completely because who knows what's going on and the field and all else.
Where it's being played and everything. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No. So I mean that's a loss, but I said who knows. The Titans game is where we got screwed. I was listening to this Bill Simmons podcast and Cousin Sal. He said that a team's been up that much with that amount of time left, and they've won that game 66 out of 67 times. So if Will Levis doesn't throw what'll be the worst pass of the entire year, they cover.
Yeah. I'm totally with you on that one. I was really high on the Titans this year. I thought Levis would like just chuck. I thought he was just going to be, throwing some bombs. It's not looking good. No. We'll see what week 2 brings, but I'm with you. That Baltimore game, that was a great game for starting off the season, and to end that way. Baltimore looks bright. I mean, they're just going to pound the ball down people's throats. Like, how could you know? And it was a redemption game for Lamar. Like, I think he has a lot to prove. Like,
sure does.
Winning an MVPs now, like he's been there, done that.
Yeah,
but beating the guy across from him, I think, is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I mean, we even knocked people like Peyton Manning for years. I still do, but I was like, he can't win the big one when really I like him a lot more than I did when he was a player. And it's like, can we knock Lamar or Peyton for literally in their same conference as the best player of their generation? So it's kind of like, if you were playing Jordan, are you terrible because you couldn't beat Jordan during Jordan's run, kind of thing? Or are you just unlucky?
You either love him or hate him, right? And it's funny, like I never liked Kobe ever until he retired. And then I'm like, I love this guy. Like, I wish I would have came around when he was playing. But I find that a lot. Like even Brady, like I think that you just get more exposed to these guys in a different way. You see them a different way rather than watching them beat your team every week, or every season, I should say. But it's funny how that works out. Like, so I'm very, I don't like the Chiefs, obviously, but I respect Mahomes, and I don't know, how can you not? The guy's just unbelievable,
right?
We went to a sweet university too. So
the greatest.
I think,
thank you, Kev. Thank you.
I lived the top. I've been there once, so I don't know.
Yeah. You're a fan.
Yeah. That was fun. I did cheer for them once.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Like, you have to respect the greatness now. Maybe because I'm older too. Like, back in the day, like, he's dog shit. He wins every week. He's dog shit. But that doesn't work.
Right. I think as you get older, you like, even in life, you don't, putting people down doesn't make you stronger. You kind of realize like, okay, I'm not the best at everything. I don't have to be to make myself have confidence. It's like, yeah. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, self-deprecation is almost a strength, where before putting yourself down, you can't do that because you're young and you have no confidence. Where now you make fun of yourself because you're like, dude, I have 3 kids. I don't care.
Yeah. Now they're all young. I know they're older than me. So if I was 25, no way, no chance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's also been nice being a Vikings fan. I think it makes me good at doing this podcast because I really have never been good at anything with my fanship. So I really don't have a dog in the fight. I just like to be entertained. Like, there's some people who just are so passionate about their teams and that's all they care about. And I'm just like, I just care about watching good play. Like, show me something amazing. Like, even if I lose a bet, if you beat me with something like, I had the USA national team for the Olympics.
Yeah.
I faded them to win gold and I got killed for it. I went viral on TikTok. I absolutely got massacred by people. But I lost and I was like, watching Steph Curry go nuclear was worth it. Like, just watching, like, I'm glad that's how, I'm like, oh my God. That was the greatest. No, I wasn't. I wish I was. But just watching him on TV. Yeah, that was like $10,000.
Like, I think you have to gain the appreciation, and especially for you now, like, it's content. Like, for you want a good story. It's not the you have a dog in the fight anymore. It's more than that. So that's cool. That's good to feel that way. I'm feeling that way too, to be honest. Like, I know the Broncos aren't probably gonna make playoffs. I want them to, but there's no chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything has to go right, and that just doesn't. No. That just doesn't happen in it.
No.
So, but like, case in point for Minnesota. I mean, they probably could have made the playoffs, but JJ goes down. You never know what kind of season JJ could have had. But like, it's day to day.
Absolutely. Back in recap of week 1. Sorry, I had a few games left before we get to week 2. Texans, I had -2.5. I nailed that. I feel like Richardson completed 9 total passes. 1 was like the greatest pass of the week, but it's still, he can only complete bombs that are just kind of like throw it deep to someone kind of running open, but he can't put a ball tight into coverage. Like, even watching Allen, zero. Yeah. So they dominated him. They got a lucky touchdown at the end. I think the Texans should have covered that. For me, should have been a win.
Yeah.
I had the Giants 1.5, but I said completely stay away from that game, because if I told you either team won 28-6, you'd been like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, no one had any idea.
Yeah.
The Rams 3.5, another giant bad loss. I said it was going to be close. I said it'd be a field goal game. They went in overtime. I mean, that should just goes to overtime. There should be an automatic 3-point spread on your bets, I think.
Yeah, it should end where I guess it would have tied. Yeah.
That's still fine.
Yeah.
And then the Jets, my only loss I'll admit to was the Jets. I can't believe they got shit kicked. That was wild.
On a Monday night, coming back, Mr. Rogers did not look good.
No.
I don't think he deserves any hype. I mean, and he looks old. Like, now it's too bad the way it all went down, but I expected more out of the Jets too. I picked them to cover, and they came out flat. And that defense, what happened to the defense?
So that's what I was listening to. This podcaster, Sean Fennessy, he's a big Jets fan, and I listened to a bunch of different podcasts, and every person in the media was the Jets have the best defense in the league, or top 3. They're amazing, which I'm just going to believe. Sean's like a big podcaster. Yeah, he's a part of the Ringer Network, but he was saying, he's like, he didn't understand, like, because their team and their players are way down from last year. He's like, this person's not starting. They lost 3 of their defensive lineman starters, aren't playing, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I have no idea what the media are seeing because I see like a significantly worse defense going into the year. And I was like, why couldn't you fucking tell us this, Sean? You're holding out. Like everyone else didn't know this, but you knew. So
it's news out here.
Yeah.
I'm relying on
absolutely. But so yeah, he's but yeah, you have any other quick thoughts on week 1 before we dive into the week 2 picks?
Yeah, nothing groundbreaking. I think you pretty much hit it on the head. Like I did pick Denver to cover. I'll tell you this. I was just so blown away with Seattle's coverage. Like they can tackle open field. Like Denver didn't have any yards after the catch, maybe 1 or 2. Like their tackling was unbelievable. They just played out rookie quarterback, hands down, the best you could probably do, which is a great sign for them. But you pretty much most of my losses were the exact same as yours. Like Baltimore. Actually, I saw a thing for the Baltimore one. Like if Deion Sanders caught that ball, it would have been completed because he doesn't have a big toe. But
hey,
and then it was one catch away from being a touchdown. But yeah, week 1 was a lot of learning. There was a lot of learning. That's all.
We're getting to the Giants game, but thinking of interesting facts we saw. I saw Daniel Jones, since he signed his Giant contract, has thrown more touchdowns to the other team than he has to his own team. So I think he's only thrown 2 touchdowns to his own team, and he's thrown like 7 or 8 picks, and I think 3 of them have been returned for touchdowns. So he's and it's like $150 million contract or something.
Yeah. I think the rest of the league should contribute to that, maybe.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's get into the week 2 picks. We're gonna go last night. Dolphins, as you know, I hate Tua, not as a person, just as a football player. So I had them as a lock to lose, the Bills to win, especially cover. It's unfortunate what happened with Tua, but we were talking about, we had a little bit of a technical error, but Tua's making $125 million if he retires right now. So that's kind of nice. It's a silver lining. So it's not like he's knocked out and is going home empty-handed if he's unable to play again.
Sign me up if that's the case. I mean, what more can you prove to yourself? Like you're walking away with that generational wealth. Like that's huge. What was I going to say about last night's game though? I mean, Buffalo. Did you see that stat about Josh Allen though? 6-0 now, 7-0. Thursday Night Football.
Oh, really?
It's on. Yeah. I think I don't know if playing anymore down the road, but.
And I think impressive. They're 11-12 against the Dolphins in their last 12 games. So even before Tua got knocked out, they were getting absolutely murdered. Yeah. The writing's on the wall. Tua can never beat a good team that's not, plays half decent defense and covers them well, plays physical. I don't want to bag on Tua since he might. Like 11-12 in the last 12 games.
Sorry. His record is the teams with the winning percentage.
I think it was like 1-6 last year, and then like 7-20 for his career, or something insane.
Yeah.
So
pay him his money and let him go.
Exactly. And I mean, he'll always be an Alabama legend. As much as I shit on Tua, it was actually, I bet on Alabama. I think they had lost a game or 2. And so then I bet on them to win the national championship. And then Hurts was QB, and then Tua came in relief and threw an absolute dime down the sideline on the left.
That one half. He had one really good half with Alabama.
So he won me a bunch of money. So I should like him. Like, I should love the guy. But then he went to the Dolphins, and my friends just want to talk shit who's a Dolphins fan. So I finally was out on Tua.
Instant hate. I get it. I totally.
Yeah.
The other thing is I don't hate the Dolphins. Like, I'm a big fan of the drama and the chaos that goes on down there. Like, you can't. Well, and you're lucky because you got Calais. Like, you got the inside report on everything there. can't even drive to the arena without getting arrested. So I think somebody, I was saying to some guy, I was like, that cop must have like had somebody else in his lineup, or he was playing against Tyreek or something. Because like,
well, I was thinking one of Tyreek's 11 children was with that cop's wife.
Yeah,
so that was my big thing, my big takeaway. So,
or he's we'll uncle or grandpa or something.
Yeah, or maybe it's his daughter, because he's like a 37-year veteran. That makes sense.
That would check out. That would check out.
Okay. So there we go. Tua slept with the cop's daughter, and now it's all come in circle. You heard it here first on the Fraser Laveay podcast. So yeah, we're going into week 2, picks against the spread. I've got New Orleans versus the Cowboys. Cowboys are -6.5 or -6-point favorites, depending where you look. This is a tough one for me. What do you have?
Well, the Saints, I heard that they are in hurricane relief. Like their whole week is just completely screwed up. I know it's week 2, the pretty routine regimen. Yeah, I got the Cowboys hands down on this one. Like it's good for them to leave New Orleans, but you know, wondering what's going on at home and all that good stuff. Like I think the Cowboys, this should be higher. Like, and the Cowboys defense is again. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. I mean, you're playing in Dallas. I'm not a big McCarthy fan, but this is a no-brainer.
Okay. I was just looking, Marshawn Lattimore, it looks like he's a game-time decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just staying away from this game, but gun to my head, I think I took the Cowboys as well at -6. But 6 is a lot, you know. They're backdoor covers. I'm staying away from it, but yeah, gun to the head if I have to put a bet down.
Yeah, I should say I lean. I wouldn't really pick the 6, but I think they do win by a touchdown.
Yeah.
Actually, I even locked them down as my survivor. So.
Oh wow.
There
you go. I guess that's fine. The survivor.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, next game, Raiders versus the Ravens. The Ravens are -9-point favorites. I know at the start of the week there was like 7.5, and I said instantly the Ravens. And I'm still sticking to the Ravens. What are you doing?
I lean Ravens too. They'll just continue. Well, I mean, they already played Ravens 2.0 over in LA last week.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be doing the exact same thing this week, just not stopping the run. So,
yeah, and that's what I was thinking. The Ravens are one of those teams that are built to just kill you by a lot of points. Like once they get ahead, just run the ball, dominate you. As from the podcast on Tuesday, Lions or the Lions treatment. You'll get the Lions treatment where
DC going to the fridge or whatever.
Yeah, you go and take your wife and do all. Yeah. Dan Campbell, your wife. That's what the Ravens will do. So yeah, we're on the Ravens.
I throw my wife out and just like the beer and be like, take her. I want my beer.
Hopefully she doesn't listen to this one. Also I think because Derrick Henry had just kind of like a mediocre game, I think they'll want to run him a lot just to make a point. You know, like, oh, don't worry, we made the right choice. He's gonna kill it. So I think Derrick Henry does really well. So I got the Ravens -9 as a lock of the week. I also have a betting tip where take Henry over rushing yards, and then even do some parlays if you want, rushing yards and a touchdown, or rushing yards, touchdown, and the Ravens -9 for a little three-part parlay. So
to piggyback off that a little bit, like, do you think, like, did you hear Hallberg come out and he was just like, yeah, you know, he's not expected to run 31. We didn't bring him in here to run 31 times a game. Do you think he says stuff like that to, like, you know, justify his game plan? Because obviously he's probably going to run for 25 times, maybe 26 times. Like,
yeah,
just so they're like, oh no, they're gonna come down throwing. It's like, no, they're not. They're gonna.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe he just was mean because Lamar is going to have some carries and spread it around. But yeah, definitely he's taking the heat off.
They do need to get their wide receivers in the game, though. Like, I mean, just to open it up a little bit more for them. But
yeah,
we'll see.
I was high on Zay Flowers in fantasy, so I have Zay in a ton of fantasy football leagues, and they tried to get it to him a bunch. I think he had like I don't know, over 10 targets and touches. Like they tried end arounds with him and ton of targets, but just I think a couple penalties happened and missed throws.
Oh, he had a couple called back, I think. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then he missed in the end zone wide open at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that Likely situation? Like, I think Andrews is pretty much second fiddle now because this Likely guy can ball.
Well, yeah,
having two guys.
He's been injured. What? Like everyone's been saying, oh, this is Andrews' year for the last 2 or 3 years. He's going to bounce back, and he hasn't. So it's kind of like
he's always injured.
He's kind of showing you who he was. I actually Googled because I was looking for fantasy at the start of the year. I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy into that it's Andrews' year and whatever. I was like, he's got to be like 31 or something.
Yeah,
but I think I think he was like 28 or something. Is 29. Oh, he's going to turn 30 this year. So yeah, he is. Oh, he already turned 29 this year. He just turned 29. So yeah.
So that's still relatively young. I mean, like George Kittle's what, 28?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because I was expecting him to be like 31, 32. So I thought, oh, maybe there is a chance. But yeah, like you said, Likely just seems to be the one there now. Shit game next. We got Giants, Commanders. The Commanders are -1.5 favorites. I'm saying the Giants were awful, but I don't think there's any world the Commanders should be favored in any game unless they played like Carolina. And even then it would be -0.5. Like I'm just disgusted with them being favored more than anything.
Let's be honest. I think the Giants are in that Carolina conversation. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know, man. With their head coach calling the plays now for the Giants, I really thought that was going to be a game changer for them. I thought because he called a great game when he was with Buffalo, and well, obviously you got Danny Dimes there that just can't throw to the right team. But I don't know. Commanders' defense is supposed to be pretty good, so I like to see it.
I don't know. People are saying they're pretty good, but then I looked up, and a lot of people have them pretty bad. But I've definitely heard both things. I've heard like they should be good on D, and then I've heard that they should be worst defense in the league. Like I've seen a ton that says they have the bottom 3 defense in the league. So
yeah. Well, in that division, I would have pegged them. They should have been the second best. Well, I guess the Eagles. Sorry, Eagles. Then
Cowboys.
Third best. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Cowboys are the best D for sure.
Yeah. So I still believe I believe Danny Dimes can do a little bit, and I just don't believe Daniels can do anything. I watched the entire Daniels game. He didn't throw a ball downfield. I think he only threw a pass 2 yards downfield. It was like the max completion. Yeah. So I don't see him if the Giants employ a spy, if they just know that he's going to run first. I think the Giants win. Again, I'm making this a lock of the week. Giants plus 1.5. I'm zagging on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, that's fair. Stick to your guns, man. Stick to your guns. Yeah. What are your consensus like on division teams on the road? I always go back and forth on it.
I feel that used to mean something, but now I don't think it does, right?
Week 2, you never know.
Like road games, home field advantage used to be a big thing, and now I don't think it exists anymore. Like it used to be -2.5 points. Now I think it's like -0.5 point at best.
Do you think just because teams travel so well now, like most teams?
Yeah, I think like the advent of better like planes now, they're flying in incredible private planes that they have tons of room to stretch out. Health, diet is all made for them. All their food's perfectly curated. Their sleep, I'm sure they've all got that dialed in. I also think now like the crowds, like people who are crazy can't afford to go to games anymore. Like the true real fans. Now there's a lot more white collar people. It's still loud, but I just don't think it's as passionate as it used to be with people who are middle class going to games. Now it's like you have to be middle upper class to go to most games.
For some teams, for sure. I do agree. Like I think there's certain stadiums that they'll never let another team overrun, but certain teams just travel so well. I don't know. I don't know how good the Giants fan base is, but I feel like a 1.5 point spread, like that's a pick 'em really, right? So it's like and for a road team, that's a safe bet.
Yeah, and I have like a thought about. I wrote an entire article about this about why why home field advantage isn't an advantage anymore. And I think another thing I have was I call it like squeaky bum time, where now because of how the world we live in is so negative and just like instant media and blasting people, now I feel like it's worse when it gets quieter in the stadium and it's like, oh my God, our team's going to blow it like they always do, versus the opposite when it used to be louder when you're doing well and you fed off that enthusiasm. So like the peak enthusiasm isn't as great as the bottom, oh my God, our team's going to blow it feeling. So I feel like that now is a bigger negative than the positive of the positive was, if that makes sense.
That does, yeah. Like gone are the days of the Peyton Manning where you could hear a pin drop when he's on the offense, right? Like that's what strove for, but like strove. Yeah, I think that's that's a good point.
Yeah, that's my thought. Just now the anxiety levels and the nerves and like the team not believing you, the fans not believing you, and all this kind of stuff has turned into such a negative, toxic fanship.
And you wrote an article on that?
Oh yeah, full article about how.
Where do I see this article?
Oh, you see it on faneverland.com.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, great article, great website. Next game.
Get some sponsors, man. We're like,
do
you ever listen to the Bussin' with the Boys where they do like the shout out, no free shout out things?
No.
Yeah, we gotta get you some sponsorships here.
Yeah, I like it. The next game, I think, because we just talked about this a little bit or alluded to it. Chargers minus 5.5 point favorites over the Panthers. Where are you going?
Well, I'm going Chargers all the way. I mean, the Panthers are just brutal. Like, I heard you rip them all off here in your previous podcast, and like that, I'm pretty sure you can listen to on.
Yeah, faneverland.com or the Fraser Laveay podcast. Yeah, a little plug. Yeah. Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, like it's brutal. They've given up so much equity in their team that they've got no good players. Like Bryce Young's on an island. They can't protect this kid. Their defense, like Burns was a great defensive player, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, let's get rid of him too. Like, I don't know. I don't.
My favorite tweet ever was Luke Combs is a big. I'm sure you saw it, but like Luke, I'm sure you saw it because you follow my tweets, but I'm sure you saw it because you read the article that I mentioned this. Like, oh, I'm sure I tweeted it. I'm sure you saw it. But Luke Combs was pissed. He's a Panthers fan. He tweeted like something. He's like, I hate the Panthers. And my tweet was like, see, even a cold beer can break Luke Combs' heart, but the Panthers, you could. You sons of bitches. Yeah, they're trash. And I think we were talking about how the Chargers are one of those teams. If they are, I don't think they're going to beat tons of teams. I think they're going to be above 500. But the teams they will beat, like these shit teams, they'll pound, just like the Ravens, like we talked about.
I hate it, but I'm pretty high on the Chargers this year. I think they've got a good defense. What Harbaugh did with the trenches, like I honestly think they're going to make playoffs. Like they're probably not going to do much in the playoffs, but I think they're a playoff contending team. Herbert's, not going to rely so much on his legs because he can't with the foot injury or whatever, however that is. But they have a run game. They've got some good bruisers in the background. They've got reliable vet tight ends plus a good offensive line. You see what that guy did to Crosby last week? That their rookie, their tight end, their left tackle.
I didn't see a lot of it, but I heard that he had 17. Yeah, there were 17 times he was against him or Wilkins, who are both animals, and he was 17 out of 17.
Crosby was like preseason projected to be defensive player of the year, and just completely held him to nothing, right? And that's pretty good if that's your rookie tackle, right? So. Absolutely. And they still have the double guys on the outside rushing the quarterback, and I think Chargers will be sneaky good. But the thing is about this game, in any game but this game, obviously, because they're playing the Panthers, but them going to the East Coast, favor that high. I love home dogs, but it's the Panthers. there's no way that they've proven enough to take this game to 3 even. Let alone.
And I've said this on a podcast before, but I didn't realize when I was doing some research, Herbert was second in passing behind Mahomes one year and second in passing or touchdowns, whatever it was, to Tom Brady the other year. So it's like, you forget he's actually been outrageous throwing the ball. With I mean, not much of an offense, not much of coaching. I don't wish it was the NBA, but a little bit where at the NBA there's like the trade deadline and there's some major moves at the trade deadline. The NFL, just you never really see much for trades. No. But it's amazing to see some wide receiver on it. If Devontae Adams wasn't in their division, he'd be the perfect example of he pushes his way out, get me the hell out of here, and they need a team. Like if they got a legit wide receiver, I mean, that's all they're really missing.
I mean, I know Diggs. I'm not a big Diggs fan, but I'm so surprised that they didn't go after him. But they kind of let go of Keenan Allen, and he's getting on the end of his teeth there. But he's still serviceable. He's still a great inside threat. Like I don't know why you would just get rid of a sure hand guy. But I mean, that's all they really need but they're relying on their youth though. Like their wide receivers are pretty young. They're not really that well known. And so we'll see. I don't know. Herbert can make them into superstars. I believe that could happen.
Yeah. And another bet I loved was taking the alt line. Chargers, even like something like -8.5, so you can get some more juice. They're -5-point favorites, but you can take an alternate line to -8.5, -10 if you want to get crazy. But yeah, Chargers, that's one of my locks. All right, that's part 1 of the podcast, and let's get into part 2. Just hit that little next button. Sorry again for the upload issues, but hopefully you enjoyed thus far. Kev and me were nailing picks, and it only gets better. Actually gets much better the second half because the first half wasn't as good. But yeah, absolutely killed it this week. Go to part 2, Fraser Laveay Podcast.